In the wild, windswept landscapes of Scotland, where the heather blooms purple across the hills and the sea crashes against the rugged coastline, history and myth often walk hand in hand, blurring the lines between fact and folklore. The echoes of the past resonate through the ancient stones and whisper on the wind. One of the most enduring and unsettling tales, a story passed down through generations, is that of Sawney Bean, a name that conjures images of darkness and dread. He was a man said to have led a clan of cannibals, a depraved family existing on the fringes of society, preying on travelers along the lonely coastal roads, ambushing them in the shadows, and dragging them back to their lair. But how much of this dark tale is true? How much is rooted in historical reality? And how much is folklore shaped by fear and politics? A cautionary tale amplified by the anxieties of the time. Was Sawney Bean a real monster, or a convenient scapegoat? The legend claims Sawney Bean led a large incestuous family, a twisted bloodline bound together by unspeakable acts, living hidden in a sea cave during the 16th century, a dark and damp refuge far from the eyes of civilization, terrorizing Galloway for decades, casting a shadow of fear over the entire region. The story's shocking details reveal more about the society that created it than about the clan itself, offering a glimpse into the anxieties and prejudices of 16th century Scotland. It reflects a world grappling with poverty, violence, and the fear of the unknown. Today, we'll dissect the 5 central facts of the Sawney Bean legend. We'll delve into the heart of the myth, separating fact from fiction, its origins, tracing the roots of the story, and examining its evolution over time. The hidden home, exploring the significance of the cave as a symbol of isolation and depravity, the staggering number of victims, questioning the plausibility of such a high body count, their brutal methods, analyzing the gruesome details and their impact on the story's enduring appeal, and the arguments that suggest it's all a powerful fiction, a morality tale designed to instill fear and reinforce social norms. By examining the evidence, separating fact from fiction, we can understand why this story has gripped imaginations for centuries and what it reveals about the darker side of human nature. The legend of Sawney Bean, a name whispered in hushed tones even today, begins with Alexander Bean. But who was this man who would become synonymous with terror and cannibalism? Born in the fertile lands of East Lothian, Scotland, sometime in the late 15th or early 16th century, Alexander's early life remains shrouded in mystery. The exact year of his birth is lost to the mists of time, but the region itself offers clues to the world he would have known. From what we can gather, Alexander grew discontent with the back-breaking labor expected of him. The fields offered little reward for relentless toil. Sawney, as he was known, harbored a rebellious spirit. He rejected the rigid structure and societal norms of his time, choosing to abandon his family and the only life he had ever known, and left home in search of something more, or perhaps something less. Fate, or perhaps a shared darkness, led him to cross paths with a woman known as Black Agnes Douglas. Agnes was an outcast, branded and accused witch by the superstitious society of the time. Whether she possessed genuine supernatural abilities or was simply a victim of fear and prejudice remains a question debated to this day. Together, Sawney and Agnes found solace in their shared alienation. They embraced a life beyond the reach of the law, choosing a path of crime and complete isolation from the rest of humanity. Driven by a desire to escape civilization, they began traveling west, deeper into the untamed heart of Scotland, seeking a refuge far from prying eyes and judging whispers. Their journey eventually led them to the rugged and desolate Galloway coast, a place of dramatic cliffs, hidden coves, and windswept moors. It was here, on the lonely roads that snaked along the coastline, that they began ambushing unsuspecting travelers, preying on those who dared to venture into their domain. These acts of violence and robbery marked their descent into darkness, the first steps down a path that would lead to unimaginable horrors. As time passed, Sawney and Agnes spawned a brood of children, their numbers swelling with each passing year. These children, in turn, continued the cycle, breeding amongst themselves, forming a tightly knit, incestuous clan, bound together by blood and a shared taste for the macabre. Completely isolated from the norms and values of the outside world, the Bean family developed their own twisted culture, a brutal and savage means of survival that defied all human decency. This ever-growing clan, born from the union of two outcasts, Sawney and Agnes, became a living nightmare, a source of unspeakable terror that gripped the region for a generation, leaving behind a trail of blood and unanswered questions. For over 2 decades, their gruesome activities remained a dark and closely guarded secret. A festering wound hidden beneath the surface of Scottish society. They were a phantom menace, lurking in the shadows, their existence unknown to the wider world, until their horrific crimes could no longer be contained. The Bean clan's reign depended on their hidden sanctuary, a deep-sea cave near Bannan Head. Its entrance, submerged at high tide, made it nearly impossible to find. Inside, a labyrinth of tunnels stretched deep into the cliff, providing space for the entire clan. The cave was their universe, dark, damp and isolated from the outside world. From this lair, they emerged at night to ambush travelers, dragging victims back before the tide erased all traces. The cave served as home, larder, and graveyard, its isolation absolute. For 25 years, people vanished along Galloway's roads, baffling authorities. The clan's cunning use of the landscape allowed them to terrorize the region undetected. Their hidden fortress became the foundation of one of Scotland's most gruesome legends. The legend claims the Bean clan murdered over 1,000 people, a number so staggering it's almost incomprehensible, during their 25-year reign of terror. Imagine the sheer audacity, the meticulous planning, and the brutal efficiency required to carry out such a horrific spree over so many years. Their victims were mostly lone travelers, unsuspecting souls journeying through the rugged Scottish countryside, ambushed on isolated roads and treacherous mountain paths, far from any hope of rescue or intervention. The landscape itself became a weapon, aiding the Beans in their gruesome work, and quickly overpowered. Resistance was futile against a clan so savage and so well-versed in the art of killing. The attacks were swift and left no witnesses, ensuring that their dark secret remained buried deep within the Scottish wilderness, allowing the clan to operate in secrecy for years, hidden away in their cave, a dark and forbidding sanctuary. The constant disappearances created a climate of fear, a palpable sense of dread hung over the land as people vanished without a trace. Families searched in vain, clinging to the hope that their loved ones would somehow return, but knowing in their hearts that the odds were stacked against them. And authorities found no clues, baffled by the sheer scale and audacity of the crimes. The lack of evidence only fueled the growing paranoia. Some blamed wild animals, attributing the disappearances to the harsh realities of the Scottish wilderness, or supernatural forces, whispering of mythical beasts and vengeful spirits lurking in the shadows. Unable to imagine the true horror that was unfolding right under their noses, the reality was far more terrifying than any legend. The figure of 1,000 victims is debated, a number that strains credulity. Historians argue such a number would have triggered a massive response, an unprecedented mobilization of resources to hunt down the perpetrators. The number likely grew with each retelling, embellished over time as the story passed from one generation to the next. But the core remains, a dark and disturbing truth at the heart of the legend. A family preying on the public, a pack of wolves in human form, driven by an insatiable hunger for blood and violence, causing widespread terror, leaving a trail of broken lives and shattered communities in their wake. Whether the true number was 100, a still horrific tally of human lives lost, or 1,000, an almost unimaginable scale of carnage, the story's impact was the same, leaving an indelible stain on the history of Scotland. The legend endures as a chilling account of systematic predation, a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk within the human heart. According to legend, the Bean clan's isolation forced them to the ultimate taboo: cannibalism. Robbery provided valuables but not food, so their victims became their sustenance. The process was systematic. Bodies were dismembered, flesh salted and pickled, stored in barrels lining the cave. This gruesome larder allowed them to survive lean times, turning murder into a means of survival. The clan's complete separation from society led to a total loss of empathy. Victims became mere resources. The story's cannibalism shocked readers, serving as a warning about abandoning law and community. Whether fact or fiction, this detail cemented the legend's place in horror folklore. It was the final terrible step in their descent into savagery. The Bean clan's downfall began with a failed ambush. They attacked a husband and wife returning from a fair, killing the woman but meeting fierce resistance from the husband. The commotion drew a group of fairgoers, forcing the clan to flee and leaving behind a survivor and evidence. The husband's account led authorities to the scene, confirming the horror. News spread rapidly, and the mystery of the disappearances was finally solved. The case reached King James VI, who took personal interest. He assembled 400 soldiers and bloodhounds, launching a massive manhunt. The survivor guided the search party to the area of the attack. The hunt began, determined to end the Bean Clan's reign of terror. The stage was set for the legend's dramatic conclusion. The search scoured the Galloway coast, finally discovering the hidden cave as the tide receded. Inside, soldiers found stolen goods, human remains, and the entire Bean Clan, 48 strong. The family was captured without resistance and taken to Edinburgh. There was no trial. Their crimes were deemed too monstrous for legal process. The execution was swift and brutal. The men dismembered, the women burned at the stake. The spectacle served as a warning and a display of state power. The clan reportedly showed no remorse, cursing their captors to the end. This gruesome finale solidified the legend but also raised doubts. The lack of trial and the propagandistic nature of the execution suggest the story may have been exaggerated or fabricated. Was it justice or a tale crafted to serve political ends? Despite its vivid details, the Sawney Bean legend lacks historical evidence. No contemporary records mention the clan, the crimes, or the royal manhunt. The story first appeared in print 2 centuries later, in sensational English publications. Some historians believe it was anti-Scottish propaganda painting Scots as savages. Others suggest it's a composite of real crimes exaggerated over generations. The legend contains classic folklore motifs: the hidden cave, the cannibal clan, the hero king. It endures as a cautionary tale about the dangers of isolation and lawlessness. While a kernel of truth may exist, the story is almost certainly more myth than fact. Fact or fiction, Sawney Bean's story has left a lasting mark on culture. It taps into primal fears, the dark, the unknown, and the savage within. The legend has inspired books, films, and horror stories, even influencing The Hills Have Eyes. In Scotland, it's both a tourist draw and a problematic stereotype, reflecting old prejudices. The tale's true crime elements and historical mystery keep it alive in popular imagination. We're drawn to its puzzle, piecing together history and folklore. Ultimately, the legend survives because it confronts us with unsettling questions about humanity. Whether real or imagined, Sawney Bean's story endures as a reflection of our deepest fears.